Okay, well, welcome everybody. A few more people have popped in. We're making a little gingerbread house today, so be creative with colors. I'm going to work with my black PN and maybe a micron 01 and my pencil and tortillon today, but feel free to add colors and go crazy with this because it's going to be it's a lot of fun. Lots of tangles in this too. So we'll start with taking a breath. And just relaxing and maybe closing our eyes and taking a moment just to appreciate the time that we have to tangle together in the materials that we're going to be using. I'm going to start with our pencil and I'm going to put in 4 corner dots, about a 1/4 inch away from my corners. I give myself a little bit of room today for my border, and then I'll just join those dots together to create a border, which we can work within or escape from. And for our string, I'm going to start by putting a dot in the center at the top and on the 2 sides. And I'm going to join those together. Then on for my next 2 lines, I'm just going to go about a finger's width apart, and I'm going to put a dot on the bottom on each side. And about a 1/4 inch in from this line up here, I'm going to bring a line down. So there, so you can see our house looks a little bit like a bird's house. The first tangle we're going to do is called Pepper. And it creates nice little peppermint candies. So I'm just going to, with my pencil, I'm going to put a circle, and I'm escaping my border around each of these intersections. And then a smaller circle on the inside. And if you go a little wonky on this, it turns out a little better, like it's not perfect. Okay, so I'll just grab my micron 01, and we're going to have a lot of Zen for our first tangle for Pepper because it has a lot of filling in and a lot of lines to do. So starting on any of the peppers or the circles that we're going to put these in, I'm going to start at the inside and I'm going to wrap around the outside. And then I'm going to start at the same point and wrap around the outside and then join those together and color it in. And I've added a little curve on that. And I'm going to just keep working around, wrapping around my outside, doing my second line around the outside, joining the back together and coloring in. I think we have a gingerbread house without a little peppermint candy on there. Okay, so when I have my first one done, I'm just going to go ahead and work on my next 2. That was Pepper. Next tangle we're going to do is just striping. It's very easy. Well, one eye, not two. Striping. And then I'm just going to grab my pencil again. Give you a moment to catch up on the peppers. You can go back to them because they'll have a bit of a time. I'm going to just put some, I'm just going to put another line on each side of the lower. It's about, I don't know, 1/4 inch, maybe a little bit narrower than my pencil, but it can be any width. It's not going to matter. Then we're going to add some stripes on here, like candy cane stripes. So I'm just going to start somewhere in the center, and I'm going to give a good width, and then I'm going to skip a distance just a bit more than the width I just did. And then do 2 more parallel lines. And I'm going to just do the same thing on the other side, angling down in the opposite direction. Start somewhere towards the middle and do my 2 parallel lines. Skip a distance and do 2 more, and just keep repeating that however it fits. Then I'm going to color those in. And if you want, you can add a sparkle in the center by doing some zigzaggy lines. Or you could just color solid it. Up here, I'm running in underneath my candy, but I'm still going to color it in because it would be. Now on each side of these stripes, I'm going to add a line. If you don't have as much room, you could just add 1 line in the center. And I'm going to put a stripe on each side. Next tangle we're going to do is Eke, E-K-E. And Eke is just a series of E loops, and I thought it looked really like a lot like icing. So on the roof of our gingerbread house, we have a line. So I'm just going to do rows of E's going up to the line. And then I'm going to, on the other side, I'm going to, you can also turn your paper around. I'm going to loop coming in the opposite direction in between. So that's just along here and here. So I'm just going to just start and do a row of E's. On one side. Then it's probably easier if you turn it around. And now I'm going to be aiming for my loops to go between the loops that I have here. So my goal is to achieve about the same size loops, and mine are not, and that it doesn't really matter. And then I'll just do that over on the other side as well. Then along the outside edge of the roof, I'm going to put like another row of E's to look like little picots. So I'm going to just, I'm going to do these a smaller loop, and I'm just going to do that on the outside of the roof. I'm just going to come in and do a little E, and then I'm going to aim for the next one and do a little E, like I'm going between the E's again. It's really just another row of eek. Just a little picot. I kind of followed the line that was there.
What, sweetie?
The next tangle we're going to do is going to be in the window, which is above our door, which we're going to put in a bit. And the window is kind of centered at the top. It's a square. So I'm just going to put in a square roughly. Doesn't have to be perfect. And then inside that square, we're going to put in 4 more squares. So, and I'm not going to worry about this too much. I'm just going to put in 4 more squares for window panes. It doesn't have to be perfect. Then in each of those smaller squares, we're going to do Cubine. So I'm going to put a dot. I'm kind of on the lower half of center, and I'm going to draw a line to the bottom corner. Then in the top corner, I'm going to draw another little square and color that in. On each side of the window, we're going to put in a shutter and make that slightly taller and longer. And I'm not going to worry about proportions. It's coming up underneath my icing there. So I have 2 rectangular shutters on each side of the window. And I'm going to divide those into 3. And we're going to put in bales for a tangle. And on bales, we're just going to, along all the sides, do a little curvy shape. And in the center of each of here, I'm going to squish in an orb, and then just fill in the little. Kind of looks a little bit like a candy is what I was aiming for. Okay, we're going to do the door now. I'm going to leave a little bit of room above the door to do a little bit of design, a little filigree kind of design. Maybe across the bottom, I'm just going to close off our house, and it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight line. It can be have a little bit of movement to it. And I'm going to do a archway for the door. then depending on how high your archway came up, you're going to either aura on the inside or the outside. I'm going to go on my outside. And I'll put a doorknob. And along the aura area, I'm going to do some more striping. And I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to skip a little bit and put a little circle and then go 1, 2, 3. And circle. And then just work up around the curve. So that's just more striping. There's not really a name or anything for that, but I thought you could have fun with if you're doing colors, you could add like gold, or you could have a lot of fun with that later or now. And then the next tangle we're going to do is Diva Dance. And that's to give a nice wood grain to our door. So Diva Dance just starts, you can work from the center and work in both directions. It's just going to start with a really kind of like wobbly line. Somewhere on the line, you could pick a spot and kind of close it off a bit and color it in. And you're going to aura the line, and I'm going to go really close on my aura. And then I could do 1 or 2 lines, or every line, and I could just maybe, add a little weight to some areas. When I come to my doorknob, I'll just do hollow bow and just stop, lift my pen, and start again on the other side. And just wherever you want, you could add a little weighting to the line. And you don't have to do that every line, just whatever suits your design as it evolves. So I'm finished on that side, and I can continue to the other side, so I think I'm going to just move it around and work from my top down like I did. It's our Diva Dance. We're going to add some flux. And I think I'm going to, at the top here, I'm going to put in a little heart shape. And then put some flux leaves coming off of it. It's very toll-like, toll painting. I'll put veins in the leaves. And then maybe a couple little curly cues. Just I'm thinking of icing on a cake, or icing on a gingerbread house. So just very simple, whatever shape evolves when you do this would be fine. Maybe put a little in there. I'm going to continue with that idea just around the top of the door. And at this point, you could have a lot of fun. You have your arch of your door, and I would just try not to overthink what you're doing. Like maybe you go something like that, ending in a spiral. You could add more tendrils coming off, because all our spaces will be just a little bit different. And then we could add some dots to fill in some spaces. So I'm just going to start with a little kind of a curly Q E shape. Come up into a circle. I'll try to mirror it on the other side. It doesn't have to be perfectly mirrored. And just go ahead and add more wherever you think they might want to naturally come off of there. And then we'll add a few dots. Start with a big one. Maybe we could add a couple flux leaves, just little ones. And just whatever so my one side is a little bigger than my other. So I think what I'll do here is just bring a tendril down. And I'm not going to worry that one is different than the other on one side. And I'm going to put a little bit of flux at the bottom as well by the door. And I'd say just go ahead and add or more or leave as is to whatever makes you happy with the balance on your house. A couple of circles. Probably throw in some fescue like we do sometimes with our Flux. And then I'm going to put some awe for snowflakes at the top. So I'm going to start with a big one, fairly big. Maybe I'll put 6 or 8 crosses on it. Maybe just a few circles floating here and there and some dots. And maybe down at the bottom, you'd like to put a little greenery or shrubbery outside. We could do some holly leaves. We did those last week. Some holly leaves. It's pretty busy, but it's fun. Okay. If you came in a little later, I'll show you the one I did earlier today. I did it on the tan tile using some white gel pen. All the same tangles pretty much. It's not holly, but very, very much the same. So now I'm going to do some shading. So I think I'd like to try to work through the shading in the same way we did the tangles. So the first one we did was pepper. So on the pepper, I'm going to put some pencil around the inside of my circle and some around the outside. And when I want to leave the center white, and I'm just going to soften that lines. And if you happen to have a white charcoal pencil, you could always add some white charcoal. Along the striping, I'm just going to put a little bit of pencil on each side. And again, I'm just going to soften those lines. I'm not going to pull it too far in. Not too much that we could do with the eek. On here, I'm thinking I don't want to create too much of a shadow. You could color it in white. Maybe just through the center, maybe create a little crease through the center. I'll see what that looks like. It's where our initial string line was. If you happen to do it with a white gel pen, you could definitely color in white all around. So Cubine is next. Cubine is always fun. You're just going to pick one side of each of these, and you're going to color it in fairly solid, and you'll just keeping the pencil within that shape. You're going to just smooth it out. Helps add to the 3D. On the pearls on the inside of our bales that we did here, I'm just going to put a tiny little C shape, and I'll smooth it around. If you're working with colors, though, you could definitely add like white gel pen or charcoal or something to the pearls. The Cubine has a shadow on, not that we worry about light source, but maybe just put a little pencil line on On their door, I can add a little shadow on the outside of the arch. Maybe I'll just stick to the one side like we did here. And maybe the inside of the door on the same side. I'm putting a lot down there. Just a little on the outside. And because I shadowed the left side, I'm going to shadow the left side on the inside here. And those little pearls and that we did around the archway, you could definitely color them colors. They would be great. Again, you could put a little, I'm going to just use the graphite that I have on my, I'm just, at the center of some of the bigger, just a little bit. And if you, snowflakes, but if you are working, again, if you are on a color and you're working with white gel pen, a little white charcoal in there would be great. The flux, I'm just going to do like I normally do. I usually just put a little pencil at the bottom and then just bring it up one side of each leaf. Just pick one side to pull it forward on. So I'm on this side. It's hard when they're really tiny, but just a little. And then the heart kind of, I'm just going to just put a little highlight on there, or low light, I guess. Highlight. And the same on the door handle, a little. And the holly, I'll just do one side of each leaf. And that's our house. So I'm going to initial mine and sign and date the back. So that's a gingerbread house that was inspired by a little gifty bag.
Mm.
Hard to see the whole thing there, but I like the little jujubes on the side. And there's my two side by side.